My dear friend in Christ, let's begin on a lighter vein before we go to Luke chapter 14 verse 12 to 14 to understand Jesus' teaching. You know, there was a parish priest who went to a small town parish every Sunday to celebrate Mass. He always had a problem with his parishioners every Sunday, as someone would invariably park their vehicle right in the parking place marked only for his vehicle, even though there was a signboard that clearly read, "This space is reserved." And he changed the signboard to "reserved for a priest." But people still ignored the signboard and parked their vehicles there again. Then he thought to himself, maybe the sign should be more forceful. So he devised a more intimidating one, which announced, "Thou shalt not park here." But my dear friend in Christ, that too didn't make a difference. The problem continued. And finally the priest solved the problem. This is what he put up. He changed the words. And the words were, "Those who park here must preach next Sunday's sermon." My dear friend in Christ, the reality of life is that we worship God with much zeal and fervor. But maybe we have consciously or subconsciously marked boundaries in our hearts and our minds between people based on caste, based on community, based on language, based on social or economic status, or just about anything. Jesus, my dear friend in Christ, asks us to pull down those walls, those boundaries that we have built. And only then our worship as a community of believers becomes meaningful, fulfilling, and most of all, an honor to the Lord. Now let's go to Luke chapter 14, verse 12 to 14. Jesus says, "When you give a lunch or a dinner, do not invite your friends, your brothers or sisters, your relatives, or your rich neighbors. If you do, they may invite you back, and so you will be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed. Although they cannot repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." So my dear friend in Christ, let's ask ourselves, are there walls or boundaries that I have marked in my mind and my heart that keep some people away from my relationship? Am I willing to accept, to love, and to embrace everyone as Jesus did? My dear friend in Christ, if Jesus loved unconditionally, you too, with His grace, can do the same. And remember, He loves you unconditionally. So seek to imitate Him each day in your life. May you have a good and godly day.